Welcome to the Alsco Uniforms It Pays to Keep Clean podcast. Join us as we spend time with Alsco Chief Operating Officer Jim Kearns to discuss this season's theme, Growth is Our Water. In this podcast, we'll talk about observations from the field, celebrate big wins, and identify industry best practices. I'm your host, Dana Craig. Let's get started. Hey, Jim, how's it going?
Good, Dana.
Hey.
Morning.
Good morning. So we're episode 5, I think. With
Episode 5.
Episode 5, yes. We're going to be in double digits in no time. So the first thing I wanted to do, though, before we talk about your trip visits, in the last podcast, when you made your round in Texas, you had mentioned a woman in the stockroom who was a long-tenured employee. And so I've done a little research to try and figure a little bit out more about her. Her name is Peggy Thomas. And she's been with us for 48 years, all in the stockroom. And I know there are so many of those kinds of stories throughout Alsco, really worldwide, which is pretty fabulous. So anyway, I just wanted to follow up.
She was terrific. It's a great story. And 48 years, long time.
No, it is a long time, yes. Okay, so last month or during your last set of travels, I believe you were kind of mid-Atlantic area. What branches did you go to?
So we went to Alexandria first, then we went to Lanham, and then to Wilmington.
Okay, so kind of moving your way, kind of a narrow band there, but moving your way up the coast. So Alexandria is in Virginia. Brandon Divers is our general manager there. What were your impressions and how are they doing?
They're doing well. Look, Alexandria was probably our most impacted plant during COVID. We actually shut that plant down. We ran out of Lanham for a period of time. And so, Brandon's had to rebuild that business essentially from zero. Yeah. And so, but they're on the right track right now. He's got a lot of young talent, a lot of people that have been promoted from within. So, things are going the right direction there. They have a pretty good TRIR record there. So that's impressive. So they're doing some really good things there.
Great. And so Tony Isaac, I think, is a fairly new addition to that team. He'd been operating in Atlanta previously.
Yeah, but Alexandria is his hometown.
Oh,
right?
okay.
And
great.
So he had moved away to go to Atlanta, and he's coming back home.
And he's
here.
in the sales organization. Is that right?
He's a regional sales manager.
Okay.
So he's excited to be back to that area, and so is the rest of the team in that area. So, yeah, he was happy to be back.
Okay. And I imagine Brandon is a pretty good team builder and, kind of helping to create that esprit de corps and collaboration between sales and service. So hopefully they're on a good track there too.
Very much. And Alexandria is a plant where we need growth, right?
Yeah.
And so Brandon is all in. I mean, he is one of the GMs that is really actively involved with the sales organization, wanting to go out on sales calls. He's willing to do whatever it takes.
Okay, great. Well, we look forward to hearing how that goes for them. But the TRIR, again, a measure of safety, which we mentioned in past episodes, 0 to date is pretty impressive, and I'm sure they'd be happy to keep it there. So next you moved on to Lanham, which is Lanham, Maryland, and we've had lots of changes there over the last few months with some management shifts. So talk a little bit about what you saw in Lanham.
Tony Tamanini is a new general manager there. He comes from the sales organization. We're excited to have a very sales-focused team there. You combine him with Tony Isaacs, the new regional manager in that area. And
regional sales manager.
Regional sales manager, correct. They're going to be a very strong team there. In addition, they have new tunnel washers there, and they're starting to get used to those two tunnel washers.
And that's a big change. I think sometimes we get excited about getting new equipment, as we should, because it's a big event, but it does take a while for those things to settle down and really become part of the fabric. Yeah, you kind of have to,
like with employees that you onboard, you got to onboard new big equipment like that. And so this equipment, the expectation is that it'll be well maintained into the future. It should last us for 30 years, and they're very excited about it. So it's going to allow that branch to really take off for sure.
And I know we had 2 particularly exciting things about Lanham that we wanted to share. And one was about a new account that I think we may have alluded to in an earlier podcast when we were prepping you to go to Lanham. But tell us a little bit about what's happening there.
So they've got a very large account in Hershey, Pennsylvania. And so that account as we're filming today, I think it started up sometime this week or sometime last week. So it's just coming on board. It's a great big account. It's going to have a big impact on that branch. So we're excited to see, how that goes. And what's really interesting about this account is that the regional sales manager that helped sign this account up, he was thinking outside the box, right? He was trying to get business for us and get into opportunities that would benefit the branch. And this is really a unique customer, and it's going to be interesting to see how this thing goes in the future. So,
and it's different for us in a couple of, first just the volume, but it is all customer owned goods. I think so. It's COG, which we process slightly differently. So there's, I'm sure, some procedural changes inside the branch that will take place. But they sound like they're excited and ready to go for it.
We've got the equipment. We're hiring all the employees that we need to run the business. So it's going to put those guys, they're going to be at capacity pretty quickly. So
what market segment does that?
It's F&B, but it has a variety of different things in it. And what's great about this account, it gives us an opportunity to sell target market business and facility services, target market business and uniforms. So we have the opportunity to really bring in that type of business that is there in that Hershey account,
right,
going forward. So it provides us a great platform, a great building block to really make this account something special in that branch.
And I like thinking about it that way, that we maybe F&B has been our, no pun intended, bread and butter for century or more, and we're well known for it in the marketplace, but also it can act as an enabler to get into some of these other target market spaces depending on the account that you're in.
We don't have that opportunity unless we have that account, right?
You bet.
And so now that we're in the door, we can take advantage of these opportunities.
Have different conversations.
And that sales organization up there is ready to do that. Cool. So they know what the opportunity is, and I expect that they'll take advantage of it.
Good. So Jim, when you were at Lanham, I know you had mentioned as well that the office manager, DeWanda Hopkins, wrote you and really the whole visiting team a thank you card.
Yep.
And I know that was something that you were pretty excited about and wanted to share with us. So do you want to?
Sure. So at the conclusion of our visit, DeWanda gave each of us a thank you card. And look, I've known DeWanda for a long time. She's a special person. She's been terrific to work with. She's got such a great positive attitude. But I think this is pretty terrific. So it has a little growth as our water drop on the front of it.
Very cool. And she's
okay. So let me get my reading glasses on here, and I'll read it to you. So it says, hope you enjoyed the DMV. Thank you for visiting Lanham Proud here in the SLWDC. We got the message and we wanted you to know the team here will do everything to make sure we continue to grow. From small beginnings, the Steiners planted the seed. We are here to grow the business to give it the water it needs. Now in the future, learning from the past, look, we have already grown as we watch Jim Kearns on the podcast. We thank you again, and we want you to know Lanham Proud is here to make sure to grow Alsco. So I thought that was pretty clever, pretty terrific.
That's fantastic.
Yep.
And I imagine you're going to get a lot of poems now on your future visits, so be prepared. But that's really thoughtful and exciting that they're taking everything so seriously and taking the time to acknowledge that. Thanks for sharing. So that will be point of pride in your office somewhere, I would imagine.
It will be displayed prominently.
Thank you to
DeWanda's such a
DeWanda.
sweetheart. It was terrific.
Yeah, well, thank you to her and to the rest of the Lanham team. It sounds like you had a great visit there.
You are listening to the It Pays to Keep Clean podcast, brought to you by Alsco Uniforms, the worldwide leader in hygienically clean laundry services for uniforms, linen, floor mats, and restroom supplies. Need first aid services for your industrial, restaurant, or healthcare business? Alsco Uniforms has you covered.
And so, lastly, you headed up to Wilmington.
Right.
And tell me about your visit there.
Well, I've been looking forward to going to Wilmington. It's been a long time since I've been there, and I know that they had, worked very hard to get prepared for our visit. We had planned to meet in the branch, but the weekend before, the Sunday, before our visit on Thursday, they had a water leak on the second floor of that plant, flooded the conference room, flooded the break room below, it flooded everything. And so it kind of made a mess out of things for that branch. And so we had to pivot. We had to meet in the hotel, which was too bad. It would have been nice to meet in the branch, but we did, start off with a branch visit. And look, this is something that is not a secret. That branch has struggled in the past. And so, I was going there with mixed emotions, but I have to tell you, I was pretty excited about what I saw there. I left with a completely different impression than I had going into the place. So, they were doing a lot of really good stuff there, and I could really sense that they had really come together as a team, and they were working well together. So that was a good visit. I was, as far as going out and visiting these branches, this was a big surprise for me.
So it sounded like that was another one where last 12 months, TRIR 0.
Yes.
Which is pretty fabulous. And then they were doing some interesting things related to how they were trying to promote this idea and get some excitement and sense of urgency around growth. Can you talk about that?
They had growth is our water everywhere, all throughout that branch. So it was very visible. They were branding it, very well. But the interesting thing that they had was in the service department, they had a big green bell that was mounted on the wall. And, when they sold new a business or had some big win, they would ring this bell. And that was something that I hadn't seen before. Yeah. And I thought that was a great idea to celebrate, selling new business, celebrating, renewing accounts, keeping customers. It was terrific. So I thought that was pretty good.
No, it sounds exciting. And it gets everybody involved too. So if you're an RSR and you've sold something, but you're probably not bragging about it to your buddies, maybe you are, but It's a nice way to kind of bring visibility to some of these things. And then maybe people who aren't as confident in participating at that level, they see a colleague doing it and they understand they can too. And they're, even if it's, ringing the green bell at the end, it's pretty fun.
Well, you ring this green bell and everybody in the plant hears it. So it's not like something that is just in this one office. It's a big enough bell and they ring it, and you can hear it throughout the plant. So it does let people know that we're doing the right thing.
Right. So they also had a very exciting story about, we have for our RSRs, our route sales representatives, we have a target for them to sell, of course, on the route, even if their primary role is to maintain our accounts and provide great service to our customers. Talk a little bit about what happened there.
Well, this is one area, RSR sales. So, what our RSRs sell when they're out on the route is, has to be part of our growth strategy, right? It has to play a really big, important part. And they have a RSR out of their depot that's up near Philadelphia that has put on a large account. Mm-hmm. I think it was $600 a week or something. And that's terrific, right? We need more of that. We need the RSRs to help support our sales organization, help bring in new business, and this guy has done a terrific job in one big account. So that was something that the entire branch was excited about. But that, particularly coming out of a depot, we have a great depot manager up there, young guy that's doing an outstanding job, and they've got the right growth culture in that depot, and it's great to see that these guys are out selling new business.
Yeah. So we'll follow up. I mentioned that to you earlier. We'll follow up on some of that in a little bit more detail. But it's an RSR selling the $600 a week account, which is absolutely fantastic. He did it in concert, of course, with the sales organization and with a lot of support from you say depot, I say depot manager, Kyle Griffith. So he did it with the help and guidance of Kyle Griffith, who is the depot manager. But the RSR's name is Julio Dominguez. Okay. I spoke with him earlier today, and he was, really excited, of course, and hopefully this is just the beginning for him. But we'll be having an interview with him that we can share with everybody later. And in particular, I think not only sharing the excitement, but kind of how, what was he maybe concerned about and what was he able to overcome in order to get something like that done. And we need to enable these RSRs to really sell new business, right? Yeah.
Or sell new products, really. Sell new products within the existing accounts. That's the most profitable business. So, for example, if they don't have All Fresh, right? They can sell All Fresh. That's a terrific thing to add to an account. They can sell mats or whatever. But if we can increase, the amount of business we do within each one of our customers, that's what we want to do.
Right. And you already have the relationship. Hopefully you have the trust and knowledge of the account, and you kind of already know what they may need. So as you mentioned, all fresh, which might include some restroom services as well as first aid, would be great areas for them to mine for that additional business.
It reminds me when I first started at Alsco, 31 years ago, I rode a route within the first week that I was here, and I rode with this guy, and he sold at every stop.
Oh, wow.
And I was new, and I was kind of, I came back and I asked people, is this what all of our RSRs do? And the response was, no, some of them do that.
Yeah.
But this guy sold at every stop, and that's really what we need from our RSRs. They need to be asking, their customers, what else can we do for them? What other services can we provide to them? So it's they're in a unique position to do that. And this guy in Wilmington has done a great job at it. That guy 30 years ago was doing a great job at it.
Well, it seems to me it's likely a two-way street as well. So you're seeing the same customers week in, week out. If you are selling to them week in and week out, then they also see you as a resource. And so sometimes you've primed the pump in a way. They know to ask you, hey, do you think you guys could help with this? Hey, I was wondering if this is something you provide. So they start to do the work for you, if you will. They understand that we're more than maybe the service than what they currently have. So one last thing in Wilmington that you had mentioned, and there were a lot of really good things, but they provide some competitor avoidance training.
Yes.
Talk about what that is a little bit, and whether or not you've seen that elsewhere.
Well, that was something that Tim Jones brought up, the regional manager. This competitor avoidance training. We need to make sure that when we go into account, if an RSR goes into account or a DM or anybody is in one of our accounts, we need to make sure that we have our eyes wide open looking for competitor activity. And we need to make sure that we're taking the necessary steps to keep our customers or competitors out of our existing customers. And so if you see something that would indicate that a competitor has been involved or been out in one of our customers, we need to communicate that to the DMs, to the service managers, to everybody that's necessary to get involved and make sure that we can keep that account. It's something that we're going to have to develop over time. I think it was something that we hadn't talked about a lot.
It'll create a sense of urgency too, that they understand there actually is a competitive threat, more in some markets than others, but the more that they know about how to talk around it and see it coming, then the better off we are in terms of selling against it, as well as retaining our customers if a competitor's attempting to take them. Okay, well, that sounds like that was a pretty good visit then.
Yeah, it was a great visit.
Than floods. And any notes on food? Because I know when we were in Texas, there was a lot of breakfast tacos and barbecue, and I don't know if
I don't. The food's always good there in that area.
Maryland crab cakes or anything like that?
We did. Okay. We had some crab cakes, and they're terrific there. So yeah, we had some good food there. We didn't do the breakfast tacos. I think that might be
might be a one and done for you until you go back to Texas. Yeah. So what does it look like for your next set of visits?
Well, we've had to change them around a little bit. We were planning to go to Canada next, but we're going to start out in Canada next month. We're going to go to Surrey, so in Vancouver,
which is the Vancouver facility.
Right.
Yep.
Then we're going to go down to Seattle and then to Billings. So that's our next trip in July.
Okay. Great. Well, we look forward to hearing more information about that, and safe travels.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. That's all for today's episode of the It Pays to Keep Clean podcast. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the world of Alsco uniforms, where we explore the growth and challenges in our industry. Tune in next time for more industry insights, growth strategies, and tales from the field. If you've enjoyed our time together, please leave us a rating and review on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. If you want to learn more about our services, visit us at alsco.com. From all of us here at the It Pays to Keep Clean podcast at Alsco Uniforms, thank you for listening. Stay safe, stay clean, and we'll see you in the next episode.